Hey everyone, Stephanie Callahan, broker and co-owner of 15 West Homes, serving the entire DC metro area. Today, I'm going to be brutally honest with you about what it's really like living in Ashburn, Virginia. We're going to talk about some of the positives, but we're really going to dive into some of those negatives so that you have all of the information you need to decide if Ashburn is really the right place for you. I've got 10 things to talk about today, ranging from data centers to HOAs, parks, schools, and more. So let's get right to it. Let's get started with number 10, HOAs. If you're going to live in Ashburn, you are going to be in a community that either has a condo association or a homeowners association, or sometimes both. Out of the thousands and thousands and thousands of homes in Ashburn, there are probably less than 100 that do not have a condo association or a homeowners association. Right? These organizations definitely have their pluses. They provide the community amenities, they put on activities. By establishing those rules and guidelines and enforcing them, they really help maintain property values, which is great for all of the homeowners. But as part of those rules and guidelines, you need to make sure that you can live with the restrictions that they put in your community. Most of the time, it's around things like design, what color your house is, your front door, maintaining your lawn a certain way, the materials you can use to build a deck, but they will also control what types of animals you can have on your property. So if you are looking to get chickens, which has been really popular lately, you're going to have to look in Western Loudoun. You're not going to be allowed to have chickens anywhere in Ashburn. But you can have your household pets, right? Your dogs, your cats, your lizards, bunnies, birds, all of those things. HOAs around here are going to allow that. Some of them go a step further, get a little pickier. For example, my community, there are rules about my trash cans. You can't see my trash cans cannot be visible from the street. Okay, so they either have to be closed up in my garage, they have to be behind my house, behind some other enclosure. Don't want to see my trash cans unless it's trash day. So make sure when you're looking at Ashburn, you understand the restrictions of each community, and make sure that you can live with those rules that they're going to impose. Moving on to number 9, let's talk about your home choices if you're moving to Ashburn. We have, all different home styles available here: condos, apartments, townhomes, single family homes, carriage style homes. So from that standpoint, there's a lot of variety, but Ashburn is made up of planned communities, and they were primarily built from the mid 80s into the early 2000s. So you had developers that came in, took very, very large tracts of land, had 4 or 5 style models of homes, and put those up repeatedly. So most of the homes are somewhere between 10 and 30 years old. They are similar in appearance because the builders just slapped the same type home up over and over. I love this neighborhood, and I think there's some beautiful homes, but it's pretty vanilla. There's not a lot of variety. There is some new construction continuing to happen throughout the area, and those newer style homes are definitely bringing a little bit more modern look in some areas. So you can find a little bit of that, but just know the majority of homes here are a little bit cookie cutter. So if you're looking for that really unique home, you're not going to find it in Ashburn. Number 8, let's talk about the parks and recreation facilities available in the Ashburn area. If you are someone who loves to get outside and be active, Ashburn is a great fit. We have so many facilities available, ranging from, just great playgrounds if you want to just go out, take your kids out to play, all the way to, kind of more adventurous if you want to be on the water. You can do all of that in Ashburn. Ashburn Park is community favorite. Most of the moms will call it Dinosaur Park because the kids have called it Dinosaur Park because it's a playground with a dinosaur theme, has separate areas based on the age of the kids, some larger play equipment and some smaller play equipment. There is also a permanent bathroom there, which is super nice. You don't have to worry about doing the whole porta potty thing. Great place for play dates. Kids love going there. We have Beaver Dam Reservoir, which if you want to get out on the water, canoe, kayak, paddleboard, awesome place to go. There's currently construction happening there, so we're getting a new pavilion and visitor center and a boathouse, so there will be public boat rentals there when the construction's complete. There are also hiking trails all around the reservoir, so just a great place to also get out and be active. Tons and tons of sports fields throughout Ashburn, baseball and soccer for the most part. Bless Park is in the northern part of Ashburn, features several soccer fields. I have spent many, many, many hours of my life there. My kids all played soccer. But in addition to the soccer fields, there are trails, like walking trails that go down by the Potomac. There's a playground facility there. So while the kids are in practice, you can enjoy a nice walk. You can take the younger kids to the playground and just make better use of that time while they're out on the practice fields. We also have the Washington and Old Dominion Trail that runs through Ashburn. This is a former railroad, goes all the way from Alexandria out to western Loudoun. You'll find runners, bikers, sometimes horses on there. So you can just get on that trail and go. I have friends that will go out to Leesburg or Percival on their bikes and, grab lunch and come back. And people just love being able to get out and go on the trail. So if you're looking, for an active outdoor community, you will find that in Ashburn. Number 7, public transportation. So Ashburn is a suburb of Washington, D.C. By car, we are about an hour outside of D.C. That's without traffic. Add traffic to that, hour and a half, maybe more, just depends on what's happening. And public transportation really has not been huge in the Ashburn area until recently. When we first moved here, there was a commuter bus. So if you needed to get into DC, there was kind of a park and ride and you can go take the commuter bus. It would stop several places in DC. But that was kind of the only option, or you could drive, at least 30 minutes to get to a metro station to take the train in. That has changed over the past several years. This past December, the Silver Line Metro opened and the final station is here in Ashburn. So you can easily go there now, grab the Metro. If you're going to Reston, Tysons, into DC or further into Maryland, you can jump on that train. It still will take a while, but you're not driving. You can kick back, relax, do other things. So really fantastic that the Metro's opened here now and so close in the community. We also recently, very, very recently, have gotten some local bus service through the neighborhood. It's not like a city bus, but there are bus stops, that you can probably walk to from your house to get around a little bit better. But regardless of those public transportation options, unless you are in one Loudoun or the very close in part of Brambleton, both of those communities are very walkable and have grocery and shopping and dining all right there in a town center. The rest of the neighborhoods throughout Ashburn, you absolutely will need a car, whether that's just to get groceries or to get to work. It is suburban, and while we have some great public transportation options for commuting to work and things like that, the day-to-day living really takes a car. Number 6, tying into our last segment on public transportation, let's talk about Dulles International Airport. Ashburn is only about 15 minutes away from Dulles Airport by car, and Dulles is a large international airport. They have domestic and international flights all day, every day. You can get wherever you want to go from Dulles. So if you travel a lot for work, or if you just have the travel bug and want to get out and see the world, you can get to Dulles really easily. And with the opening of the Silver Line Metro last December, it makes it even more convenient. So you can do that 15-minute car ride, or you can go just jump on the Metro right here in Ashburn, and it will take you to Dulles Airport. So in terms of ease of travel, Dulles actually makes being in Ashburn great. You do have folks that see the negative side of it because we do have a lot of plane traffic overhead sometimes. For the most part, once you've been here, you generally don't even hear it anymore. The only time I really notice it is when I'm trying to film one of these videos, and of course the plane flies over. But if I'm out playing with the dog, walking with the kids, I don't really notice it anymore, and it's just not a big deal. The other time actually though that I do notice it is if I'm driving down the Dulles Greenway and there's a plane coming into land. Sometimes it looks really, really close, but other than that, you really don't notice the plane traffic very much at all. Number 5, the word is cash burn. So if you've done a little research about Ashburn, you may have come across this word cash burn in reference to our area. It's definitely not a compliment, and I believe it's really reflective of some of the affluence here in the Ashburn area. We are located in the eastern part of Loudoun County, and Loudoun County has been ranked as the richest county in the United States based on household median income. It's more than double the household median income of the United States as a whole. So there's definitely some very high earners in this area. We do have a very high cost of living, but even with that high cost of living, the income levels give at least what appears to be a lot of discretionary income for people in this area. Whether they have it or not, they definitely spend like they have it. You will see some very nice homes, some very fancy, very new cars on a regular basis, nice bags, clothes, shoes, things like that. What really gets to me about it is that if you go to the high schools and you go to the parking lots, the student section, you'll find cars that are a lot nicer than what you can find in the teacher section of the lot. And to me, that's heartbreaking. We need to take better care of our teachers. But I think that's kind of the reason some people have coined this term cash burn to describe our area. There's definitely a certain level of affluence. It definitely plays out in what you see people wearing, driving, where they're living. So you just need to be aware of that. It's still a great area to live in, to raise your kids in, but you will definitely be surrounded by a lot of that. Counting down to number 4, let's talk about schools. There are a lot of people that specifically choose the Ashburn area because we have a lot of very highly rated schools here. 17 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, 6 high schools, and the majority of those schools have earned a rating of 7 or above from the greatschools.org website. It's pretty good. And my personal experience, having lived here for 20 years, raised my kids in the Ashburn schools, reflects that. We've had a very positive experience here, and I agree, those ratings are probably right in line with our experience. I do want to just offer a word of caution. When you're looking for areas to live and school systems are really important to you, don't rely just on a third-party algorithm rating, to make your selection. They use data like standardized test scores, percentage of kids on free and reduced lunch, and some other data. They cram it in a formula, pop a rating out the other end. No algorithm is perfect, just like Zillow, right? They use an algorithm to give you the estimated value of your home in the form of a Zestimate. They take data from neighborhood sales and spit out that value. It's not always accurate, right? So keep that in mind. Same is true for some of these school ratings. For example, Northern Virginia is a very diverse area, and as such, there are households that English is not the native language. So sometimes you have kids that are taking standardized tests in English, but that's not their native language. So they have that extra hurdle. Their scores may not be as high. You crank those lower scores into that algorithm, it may bring down an overall rating for the school, but that's not necessarily reflective of the quality of the teachers or the curriculum. So keep that in mind. If you're really interested in understanding the data about schools, there are Virginia School Quality Reports, and that provides you with the absolute objective data, whether it's test scores, demographics, things like that. You can go to the website, look those up for a specific school, and then base your decisions on the data itself and not the manipulation of that data coming out on a third-party site. You can also reach out to teachers, staff, meet people at the school, talk to families whose kids go to those schools to really get a better feel for what the academic environment is and if it's a good fit for your kids. Moving on to number 3, we definitely need to talk about the cost of living here in Ashburn. Folks moving to Ashburn from other areas often get sticker shock when they see the prices of homes here in our area. Our median home price is right around $700,000, which is definitely a shock to some people unless they're coming from California or New York. As I mentioned previously, we are in Loudoun County, which is the richest county in the United States based on household median income. So that definitely plays in, right? The median income is about double, a little bit more than double the median income of the US as a whole. And the same is probably true, for our housing costs and things like that. If you're looking at overall cost of living with a baseline of 100, Ashburn runs at about 150. So primary driver for that is housing costs, but definitely other things are a little bit more expensive here as well. So just keep that in mind if you're considering Ashburn. Okay, we are up to number 2, and I want to talk to you about the nightlife, or actually lack of nightlife in Ashburn. As we've talked about, Ashburn is definitely in the suburbs, right? We have a lot of very large, very planned communities here. It is very family focused. And while we have town centers that have restaurants, and we do have bars, sports bars, and some wine bars, there are places to go out, grab a drink with friends, have a beer and watch the game. You can find that here, absolutely. But it's very family focused. There are tons of events and activities put on in the different communities that are geared towards families. And there's just not the typical club bar scene nightlife here in Ashburn. Kind of what you would expect as you go further in towards DC, whether you're in Boston or in Adams Morgan. That is definitely not here in Ashburn. So depending on kind of what you're looking for in terms of social life, Ashburn may or may not be the right place to find that. We have finally reached number 1, and that means we have gotten to my least favorite thing about living in Ashburn, and that is the data centers. Okay, they are everywhere. We have more than 25 million square feet of data center capacity in Ashburn, with another 4 million under construction. We're known as the data center capital of the world, Data Center Alley. More than 70% of the world's internet traffic passes through Ashburn. From the outside, you might say, okay, what's the big deal? That seems kind of cool. When I moved here 20 years ago, there were no data centers, right? There were communities, and there was green space, there were shopping centers. And now there's a data center on every corner. The green space is disappearing. These buildings are huge. They're really, as much as they try to make them attractive, they're really pretty ugly. And in addition to that, and their huge footprint, they have really significant power needs. They're, these big buildings full of computers, and they have to be cooled. So the power grid has to be expanded. And that has involved the construction of a lot of overhead high tension power lines, these electrical substations, all to enhance the grid to support the electricity needs for these data centers. So I just think it's ugly. It's taking away the green space. I'd really prefer that they're not here. But at the end of the day, I will admit that there are benefits to having them here. We obviously have a very strong internet system here in Ashburn. There's tons of fiber, so we have some very reliable high-speed internet available to us, which is a nice perk. These data centers also it doesn't take a lot of employees to run them. So even though they're large, they don't add a lot of traffic of commuters on our roads. So that's really nice, but they do add significantly to our tax base. And the tax revenue from those data centers is actually so large, it offsets the entire Loudoun County operating budget. So while I dislike their appearance and them taking up the green space, there's definitely a financial benefit for them being right here in Ashburn. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that this information was helpful to you in deciding whether or not Ashburn, Virginia is someplace that you would like to live. If you are considering a move to Ashburn or anywhere in the DC metro area, be sure to reach out. Write us an email, give us a call, shoot us a text. Days, nights, weekends, we have your back when it comes to moving to the DC metro area, and we would love to help you with any of your real estate needs.